morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whatever time you're listening or watching. Actually, I'm so used to doing it podcast style, but today we're doing it YouTube style, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a quick little segment of the Down in the Valley podcast. Um, in lieu of the live show that we usually have, but it's been going on for 2 hours, and I need a little break from that, right? Um, but we're gonna do something really, really quick for you all. I know usually in the live shows we really don't have a lot of time at the end to do little previews of who our upcoming opponents are, and I think this upcoming week should be a little bit different. We're going to focus more on who our next opponent is, and I'm going to try and see if I can try and do that from here on out, because there are going to be some very important matches for the Toros from now till the end of the season to try to get back into playoff positions. And as you all probably know, this Saturday, the Toros will travel over to Colorado Springs, Colorado, to take on the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And to talk about the our next opponent, and of course, talk all of their experiences as a supporters group member for Colorado Springs Switchbacks, the Trailheads, if I'm not mistaken. We have a good friend of the podcast and a good personal friend, Annie Coffman. Annie, how are you doing? And welcome to the Down in the Valley podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be on here. I'm so excited to talk to you about this upcoming game.
I know last year, going ahead into the that playoff match, I had intended for you to come on. Unfortunately, I guess the timing wasn't going to be appropriate for both of us. But we had a friend of yours come on the show at that time to talk about that playoff match, which ended up being a little bit. Let's just say controversial, to be honest.
Yeah,
At least actually on both sides.
yeah.
Now that we'll recall, and we'll talk about that real quick, because I know Ray from South Texas Border Sports actually asked today in press conference to Coach Wilmer Cabrera if he felt that this upcoming match was going to be kind of as or treated kind of as a, how can I put it, as a rematch,
Yeah,
in
like a playoff.
advances.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a playoff rematch. Yeah.
yeah, as a playoff rematch. And obviously, Coach Wilmer Cabrera kind of shut it down and said, um, every game is different. Every game has special circumstances. Yes, we were in a special circumstance where we need to, get the 3 points, but this is not really going to be something like, oh, we're trying to get them back for eliminating us from the playoffs or anything like that. But Annie, I did want to get your thoughts real quick about that game, because that was the last time that both of our teams faced each other off over at your stadium.
Yeah, well, the Switchbacks are always strong at home. It's an advantage that they have the crowd behind them, the altitude working for them, that's familiar surroundings, familiar pitch. We always expect them to excel. So for us, it was okay. We're going to do this. I don't see it as a rematch because we're both different teams this year, right? New players, new coach for us. Um, I think it's going to be a whole new ball of wax, and we both teams have a lot to play for this time around, almost like a playoff. I mean, we're fighting for our positions, whether it's to remain above the playoff line, to get into the playoff line, to get a home field game. There's a lot at stake for this match.
And that's, I think, a good segue to bring up, because you mentioned you all have a new coach. You all lost a lot of key players from that team, like Haji Berry, um, Tristan Hodge, Cam Lindley, Galena, and even Elvis Amo, former Toros striker, but including many more. But that was a lot of key departures that I feel like anybody, like outside of Switchbacks fans, and even more so you all as fans of the team that follow your team more, would think that it would be very difficult to replace, much less, if one or two are difficult of losing players of that caliber, much less even more like you all did.
Yeah, the only comfort that I got from the whole turnover was that they announced that Hogan was coming in as the head coach and keeping the same assistant coaching staff that he already had. So the three of them, or four of them, who are now coaching, um, all worked under Burke, right? They'd worked with him for a long time. They play the same style. It was going to be the same kind of play, that fast, intense play where they try to get out ahead and score a lot of goals. So they're going to be looking for players that fit the same mold of what we already lost. And I think
Mhm.
they've done brilliantly in organizing the team, bringing in the players that we needed.
And you look at their schedule, or all of the scores that they have, since the beginning of the season. As I mentioned to you before we went live, or before we started recording, actually, it seemed like the Switchbacks, outside of that first game against El Paso Locomotive, like it seemed like they were kind of struggling to find their footing. If I recall correctly, from some of the games that I kind of like took a glance of the Switchbacks, it really felt like that attacking element that usually was a characteristic of the switchbacks, that high speed, taking making use of the counterattacks. um it wasn't 100% there, like it seemed like they were still kind of like struggling to trying to figure out how to make it work with the new players. But yet it would seem, I gave you the example of El Paso Locomotive. These last two seasons they have changed coaches, and it seemed like they, for the most part, struggled, to find some cohesiveness. uh but it seemed like for you all, Colorado kind of got their act together, quicker than normal, and have maintained that level throughout the season.
Yeah, I really feel it's the players. I mean, the coaching staff has done a lot to encourage the characteristics that they want to bring on board. The level of play, the camaraderie, the teamwork, and I think the guys just really enjoy playing together, really get along, and it took a little while to get those characters to meld. And I think they're hitting their stride at the most crucial point in the season. They're really coming together very well.
And you have a lot of like really good players that that came in, like Jairo Enriquez, Stephen Williams. Who else am I looking at? Malik Foster, another former Toro player. Um,
Deshane
Romario
Beckford.
Deshane Beckford, another
Yeah.
Toros player.
Yeah.
Romario Williams, and
Yeah.
even Jonas Fieldberg. Like these
Yes.
are these are players that that have some reputation within the USL Championship. And like you said, they, you know, y'all made them work together, to the point that, like I said, you are now, at this moment, you are in sixth place,
Right.
but you're only 1 point behind from third place San Diego Loyal. So
Yeah.
because of how competitive the Western Conference is like a any team can beat anybody at this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even all the way through the table, I think the bottom 2 or 3 are 41 points. You guys are maybe, what, 3 points off, 4 points off?
38, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's anyone's game at this point. It all depends. It's not only gonna take the teams being successful themselves, but a little help from other teams, right? It's
Mhm.
just that's the way this season's gonna end. I think a lot of these games, the decisions of where people land in the table is going to end up at the very last weekend of the season.
One of the things that also kind of catches my eye is, how strong Colorado Springs is at home. Currently, the record at Whitener Field is 8-4-3. What makes Whitener Field so difficult for opposing teams in the USL?
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is altitude, right? It's gonna take subbing at the right time when your players are starting to get exhausted because we literally see it as fans. The opposing team has their hands on their hips and they're breathing deep. It's getting to them in like the 60th, 70th minute. And these are athletes that are in top form. But you come up from sea level to 6,500 feet, and I can tell you, you are going to huff and puff just walking around, let alone exerting yourself for 90 minutes.
Hmm.
So that's number one. Number one is just the physical surroundings of trying to do it. The other is the environment that they're in. It's a loud stadium. Our fans turn out. They really enthuse the team to push to the nth degree. And so I think that makes the team perform at another level. They really do try to bring their all for their fans.
Yeah, it honestly has been Whitener Field. We were talking about it during the press conference today. That since RGV's independence, they have not won a game at Whitener Field, and I think another reason why, at least specifically for the Toros, why Whitener Field has been very difficult for them. If y'all remember, in Toros fans, in previous years, RGV used to be more of a possession based team. That was Wilmer Cabrera's style and everything like that. So it was touch and touch the ball, pass it around, you know, cross the ball into the other side. The problem is, as we mentioned, with elevation, not only is it difficult for the humans that are not used to, you know, exercising, running at that elevation. Let's not forget that with the high elevation is less air resistance, so that affects the ball.
Yeah.
So if you are a team that loves to play with the high balls, with air crosses, air passes, all of that, the way the ball reacts when you hit it is going to change dramatically. So
Yeah.
that was also one of the things that I think that affected the Toros in the first couple of games. It was trying to get used to that change in behavior of the ball. So those kind of little things as well have been affecting at least RGV specifically. And let's be honest, if you guys watch the games when we do play Colorado Springs, you know, the environment does get a little bit hostile for opposing teams as well as we saw in the playoff match, last season. That was a very very tough environment, for the Toros to be able to try to do something. We couple that with the fatigue, and it was just brutal for
It's
for RGV.
interesting that you said the elevation affects the way the ball plays in the air. The other thing I hadn't considered is you guys play on natural grass, is that correct?
Correct.
And we have an artificial turf. It's combination of, the coconut, it's that husk underneath. It's supposed to play like grass, but I think it does affect, the players have even told me it's, like, sometimes compacted enough to be running on, like, concrete at times,
Hmm.
so they have to kind of fluff it up and stuff, but because they're used to it, that might be an advantage for our team over opponents that come in and have never don't regularly play on it. Not never, but haven't regularly played on it.
Yeah, and right here in the Rio Grande Valley, I know that we do have that, not necessarily at NHEP Park property, but close by there is kind of like a 7-on-7 field where that is artificial turf, and I think I may have seen the Toros maybe use it once or twice, to kind of practice in that environment. But every artificial turf is completely different from the other. They're just
Mhm.
the way that they get prepared. Just because you prepared on this artificial turf is not going to prepare you for artificial turf that is more, for climates of heavy rain or snow or cold, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for players that to get used to that kind of environment, that kind of yeah, um, that kind of surface, to play on it.
How have you seen RGV after losing Cabrera Jr.? How are your goal scorers doing?
Well, see, here's the thing is that right now we have a situation where Juan Galindres has been getting opportunities, but he hasn't been taken advantage of those opportunities. So he's kind of been, we're kind of been struggling on that. I think the player that has been a little bit more consistent in taking advantage of the scoring opportunities has been Frank Lopez.
He
Uh,
did great in the last match. I watched that one.
He did, and in the previous match before, I think he's starting to find a groove out from coming back from his injury. He's starting to get back into the groove of starting that getting being the starter, and then playing with two strikers up front with Galindres coming in late in the second half. I think the biggest issue for RGV at times is that with Frank Lopez, where you don't have his height. And a lot of the times, RGV, they kind of they overuse crosses inside the box when Frank Lopez is on the field. And when you do that, you don't give him an opportunity to get those shots, because especially when you're playing against teams that have tall center backs,
Mhm,
strong center backs, like you're not giving him a fighting chance. The best fighting chance is the biggest example, the goal against Indy 11, which
mhm.
is those through balls, handling the play through the middle, but the ball has to go like on the ground, because if it goes off the ground, you're not going to give him a good opportunity to fight for
Get
the
it.
position of the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, I was putting on Twitter regarding Wilmer Jr. It was like, going into the season, I never thought that I would be, lamenting Wilmer Jr. Leaving the team if he ever did. But I think I was one of his biggest critics, to be honest. It's his first stint, over here, and but you know, game after game, he proved me wrong, and
Yeah.
I was actually pretty glad for that. And unfortunately, it's kind of like a situation that was outside of the Toros' hands. Real Cartagena thought, we're gonna sell him to this team in the fourth division of the German league, of the Bundesliga, and so they said, you know what, Wilmer's coming with us, and Wilmer is gonna get sent over there to Germany. So, unfortunately, we lost our best goal scorer for the Toros this season. And now it's been a time of trying to figure out how to adapt the remaining players that we do have to form a starting 11, or a roster that can continue generating some shots on goal, and pretty much putting it in the back of the net. But it seems like right now we've kind of found a formation that can help us in that department.
Yeah, no, that's great because I think I even at the time that they announced Cabrera leaving, I tweeted out to you guys that I felt for your fans because I know what that felt like to lose our top goal scorer, two of our top goal scorers during a season. It's just really hard when they announce that, we're selling this person or we're loaning him out, whatever, or they're pulling him back for whatever reason. It just devastates you because you're as a fan, you're just so hopeful for that push for the playoffs and achieving, the ultimate reward.
It is, honestly, because you know I was talking to Shadow and to Ray, and with Jacob, and it was like it would have been one thing had we known, okay, maybe Wilmer Jr. leaves us, but at least we know he's going to a better team, right?
Right.
Like he's going to, and forgive me, Toro Sons, for saying this, but he's going to a San Antonio, or he's going to a Colorado or Louisville, or back to MLS even.
Mhm.
But when
Or
you
a
see
Premier
this,
League team overseas or whatever,
yeah,
right?
or even second division Bundesliga, or
Yeah.
even in the championship, because at least the level of play is higher, where you could see, like, okay, like it's an improvement, like it's really worth it, making the jump, because at least you're going to a place where you're going to learn more from. You're going to not necessarily, maybe not get a lot of minutes, but you're going to learn from some of the best players, and you're going to continue to improve, you know but unfortunately, in this situation, it's like, okay, like you're sending him to the to it's it literally, according to Shadow, this team that he went to had just gotten promoted from fifth division, you know.
Oh, wow.
So to me, and I said it before, it really seemed like Real Cartagena really, you know, undervalued the play level of the USL championship. That for them it was like, okay, like this player's gonna, kind of is what's best for this player is going to fourth division in Germany, and where the level of play is almost, according to Shadow, it's kind of like semi-pro, like a little bit of amateur and a little bit of professional players mixed up together. So it's like, where is he going at? Like, is he really going to learn?
Yeah.
From going over there. So that's what kind of hurt us. And it's like a lot of people were blaming, the Toros were blaming Wilmer, that, oh, why did y'all get rid of Wilmer like that when it's not worth it? But it honestly, guys, it had nothing to do with Wilmer. I'm pretty sure Wilmer wanted him to stay. I'm pretty sure the Toros wanted him to stay. But
Mhm.
Real Cartagena thought different, and that's just the
Yeah.
way it is. Like, we have no control over the situation.
Yeah, they have the contract and they can call him back when they want to.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, that's some of the risk that you have when you have a lot of players on loan rather than actually, making the purchase, because at least when you purchase them, you have the control over, okay, do I want to loan this player or do I want to sell them, to a team that it's going to make sense not only for you as financially, but also for the player in his progression
Yeah,
of his career,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's I've been pleased. It's hurt when we've lost players, but I've been pleased at the decisions that have been made for the players' benefit. When they said that Haji was going overseas, the contract was record-setting, right?
Mhm.
Mishi had always wanted to play overseas, so going to Turkey was great. I think he's with a different team now. I think he's in is he Norway? I don't know, I'd have to look it up,
Yeah,
but he
he
said that
is. Yeah, he is in the one. It's a second division league. It's called Gostepe.
goes to well, no, I think they sold him to somebody else, and I
Okay.
I know the team, I can picture it, but I can't remember the name of it. I still
Okay, yeah, because
follow him
that's a
on social
Turkish.
media.
Okay, yeah, because that's the Turkish second division. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess they don't have. I guess they don't have that
most
updated
of
in
the time.
transfer market.
But, I mean, those players are getting to do what they long to do with their careers, right? They're going where
Yeah.
they want to go. It's
Hmm.
not like a step down. It's advantageous for our club as well as for them. I hope it puts the message out there to other players that are looking for a home, that they know they can come here and our coaching staff will develop them here and will not hold them back. That's always been my stance.
Correct, and I think another one of the things that kind of strikes me the best is that, for example, like with Haji, the team was able to negotiate to actually get, well, according to transfer market, you're able to get a actually some value out of him, like some money out of him,
Yeah,
that will obviously be, very beneficial for the team to reinvest it in other players, or maybe, in all these other areas that of the technical side of Colorado Springs. But for you, Annie, which player do you think hurt you the most that he left?
oh gosh. I cry every time any of them leave. Um, I can't pick just one. I'll have to tell you that, each time one of them left, it really hurt. Um, I was really sad to see Cam go back to Indy, but I understood why, because his wife was pregnant, the
Hmm.
family's back in Indy, so it really made sense for him to go there. We miss him in the midfield. I think Tariq is going to be filling that position really well. He's developing in that area as a good central midfielder that can, set up plays really well. Um, but yeah, he kind of hurt because I really, really liked his personality, his family. So I wish him well in Indy. He's doing well in Indy. I would love to see him back with Colorado Springs.
So, kind of fast forwarding now to more recent times for Colorado. Um, I think Colorado in the last 5 games have been have been pretty spectacular. You guys are currently in a three straight game winning streak.
Yeah.
In total, you guys have just one loss, which happened against Louisville City, which is really like, you know, is a team that, traditionally has been one of the best in the USL Championship.
Mhm.
You could say on I know that this year they haven't been playing at their potential, but traditionally, like, they were been the standard of which all USL teams, should follow. Just the way that they're always trying to fight for, a spot in the finals. For the Eastern Conference, you guys drew as well against San Antonio, another difficult team, the current reigning champions.
Mhm.
And then from then on, it's like you defeat Orange County 1-0, an Orange County that had been on fire in the last couple of weeks, but it kind of slowly kind of died out. Then you also defeated Sacramento Republic, who currently leads the
Mhm.
Western Conference,
Mhm.
and then you defeat Detroit City FC 3-0. And not only are you just scoring goals, like, your team has been scoring a lot of golazos
Oh,
lately
yeah.
too.
Goals of the week, yeah, and
Mhm.
wonderful clean sheets by our goalkeeper. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
What do you think has been the key to this success lately for Colorado?
It's their mindset. There was a game. Which game was it that they came back from a long stretch? I believe it might have been Hartford that we lost. I can't remember. I have to go back and look, but I think they came off of a long rest and were not in the right mindset when that game started. But since then, I have seen an attitude when they take the pitch that they're really on fire. They're coming out with all guns blazing. So look for Saturday for our guys to use a lot of attacking, a lot of speed. It's going to be fast play. The weather is going to be nice. So it's going to be a lot of fast running up and down that pitch. So y'all better be ready.
I hear you. I see them and I get tired.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm just watching them on TV. I
Yeah.
can't imagine actually having to chase them.
Yeah, the Tejada and Jonas and Malink, I mean, those guys are so fast. And then you add the skill level of Romario and Jairo, it's just incredible. I'm just really pleased with our attack. And what we did different this year, I think, is we have a really strong defense. We gave up almost as many goals as we made last season. I think we were really giving up a lot of goals. And this year, our defense has gotten really tight.
Mhm. Yeah, and for example, I think with the way RGV has kind of been playing, it's like the defense has been very inconsistent for this team. And I'm sure, like, any Toros fan, or even Harry, Mister the Closet Toro fan, he can vouch for this. Is that this team can play 1-2 games well defensively, but in that third game and fourth game, it's like they make so many dumb mistakes that sometimes you wonder, like, how are these how are these players playing at a professional level? It's like, because they've done some mistakes that you say, like, this is like basic stuff, like some of the first things that they teach you when you're being when you're learning how to play that particular role, especially defensively. So, and then offensively, like I mentioned to you, it's been like, it's they've been trying to figure out a plan on how to you know survive without Wilmer Jr. We're barely starting to get into that groove. The problem is, and I'm pretty sure this could be something that you guys might probably have already looked at, is when you rely on just one player to score your goals. All you have to do is put some time marking on that player, in this case Frank Lopez, and it's like you're toast, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
that can be a pitfall, but then that opens it up for others to make their mark, so
Mhm.
you can't leave the men unguarded. Our attack, that's probably part of our success, or it is most definitely part of our success in that we have so many attacking options. So you can't just shut down one,
Mhm.
because the others will burn you. Um, I the guys are human. I think what's going to happen in this game it'll come down because RGV is tough. We know that. We got to play them really hard. And what'll come down to, it might be officiating. We hate the officiating a lot of the times. You'll hear us complain all the time. I mean, we got 3 red cards in one game. So, our guys need to be on their game. They have to watch their P's and Q's and not pull those yellow cards and get red cards, not get them early. Even in the last game they played, they started racking up yellows. I think we may have had 6 in the game, and when you
Yeah.
start racking them up early, well, then you run the risk of going down a man.
Yeah, because I see that Chapman was the first one in the 27th minute.
Yep, yep, and it was even more ridiculous in the prior game. I think it might have been, like, the one where we got the 3 red cards, it might have been, like, in the 10th or 15th minute. It was really early.
Yeah.
So, it'll I hope for a fair officiated game. I hope for our guys to watch their P's and Q's when they play, and I hope that both teams come out and play their best game because that's what the fans wanna see. They wanna see a good game played by both sides. Of course, I want my team to win, but so do you.
Yeah. So what is the Switchbacks uh fan base? What are they expecting from RGV as an opponent?
A strong defensive team that you're gonna probably try to hold us back, because we have scores. You're gonna try to double man us, keep us from scoring. Um, they will look for Lopez to be scoring, I'm sure. If they've watched the last couple of games, they'll be looking for him to try to get in and get a score. So our D needs to be on its game and not drop, their defense.
And what do you think has been the biggest weakness? Because I know I have seen from some of the scores you had, I saw like a 5-0 loss against San Diego Loyal. But what do you think has been the biggest weakness out of this team this season?
It is the conduct stuff because that game was the one I think we had the 3 red cards in. So, if we can stay a full 11 and play without going down a man, there's no holding them back. When you go down a man, it's tough.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very difficult match. I think for both because from what it seems, and considering that the Toros did beat the Switchbacks here at home,
Mhm.
one of the things I remember from that game, after the game, I talked to one of the players, and one of the things that he mentioned to me, he was like, "Look, when you're coming into this game, Colorado Switchbacks have very fast, very agile players, very technical players. You know, if we gave them space out in the back, like if we had our lines, too high up, we knew that they were going to kill us. And you saw from that game, you saw RGV being more, a little bit lower lines, kind of like, I don't want to say parking the bus, but they were kind of like hunkered down in their own side of the field. Now, will the Toros try to replicate that on the road? Maybe, but fatigue is going to be a factor because when you're
Well,
chasing the ball, I feel like when you're chasing the ball, you get tired quicker.
yeah.
And considering that Wilmer loves to play that high pressure, you're going to have to use it more sparingly compared to when you're doing it here in the Rio Grande Valley because the players are going to have such a harder time just trying to keep up with getting that oxygen in their body.
Well, the other thing you have to consider too, you can't park the bus. You have to attack and you have to be strong up front because you need a win. A tie is not gonna or a loss is not gonna help you in your position on the table. So, I see RGV needing to really score and maybe score a couple of goals in order to try to take all 3 points on the road. And that's gonna expose you guys going forward is going to expose you to our guys with our speed. So it could be a goal fest, quite honestly. Could be.
So it does seem like it would make sense for Colorado to take advantage of our situation, kind of play with that desperation, and see if somebody you know somebody bites. Not
Mhm.
necessarily of the players coming up and exposing themselves in the back, but I think also is trying to bait them with, with the desperation of needless fouls, needless
Mhm.
yellows, try to get a red,
Mhm.
from Toro's players going to play with that desperation. So on the RGV side, it seems like they're going to have to be very strong mentally to play their game and not fall for desperation. Uh, I think that had they not won against Indy,
Right.
I think it would have been a worse situation. The reason I say this is because this past weekend, Toros won, right? Which
Mhm.
gave them 3 points, got them closer. They actually got it past New Mexico United,
Mhm.
who ended up losing against the Riverhounds,
Yep.
and then got them closer to El Paso, just 2 points of El Paso and 3 points from Monterey Bay, both teams who drew their matches. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
so now you're not in a situation where the Toros, oh, they have to go. I think it's one of the situations. Now you're within a short distance. You're on the road against a difficult team. Maybe, obviously, I'm not going to say, oh, they're gonna go try and go for the goal, or they're trying to go for the draw. We've said it. I said it before in the show. When you're just, when your focus is just to get a draw, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. You have to go for the win. But if you do get the draw, at least in this case, it's not as bad as a result had you not gotten the 3 points against Indy 11. So now I feel like it's
That's
going to be
true.
a little bit more difficult, or harder for uh, RGV to kind of take that bait. Can it
Yeah.
happen? Yes, and this is why. We have a lot of young players on this squad. We have a lot of players from the third division. We have a lot of players coming in from, MLS Next Pro, a player from the fourth division and all that. So you do have a lot of young players, on this squad that are going to be more exposed to falling into to these kind of uh, tricks from Colorado Springs veterans to try to bait them out, try to bait them out of position, try to bait them to create an unnecessary foul for a yellow, for even a red. So it's going to be a very good chess match for
Yeah.
for both teams.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if those younger players can control that and have the maturity that they need to stand up against veterans. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think even if you don't get all the points, you still stand a good chance of making it into the playoffs because you still have 3 games after this, or is it 4?
Well, we've got, yeah, 3 games, because we've got Hartford Athletic, the postponed game. We've got Sacramento Republic and Loudoun United.
Okay.
Yeah. So in
Yep.
theory, on paper, the Sacramento one should be the
The
hardest,
toughest one.
the toughest.
Mhm.
But how many times has RGV, gone up against, easy opponents on paper? I can think of Atlanta United too, but 2 years
Oh,
ago, Loudoun United as well, Las Vegas Lights this season. That was like, on paper you should have won. You should probably won easily. You end up losing or just getting a draw from those teams.
yeah.
So
I think we had that conversation on Twitter a few games back where we said they were trap games. You know, you
yes,
think you're going in winning, you're and it's almost like the team plays down to the level of the other team, and the other team takes advantages of that and wins, right?
yes.
So you gotta play up. You gotta always be on your game.
And you gotta have to maintain the focus 100% for the 90 plus minutes, because
Oh,
one of the
yes.
things one of the things that the Toros had been kind of caught slacking this season has been that it's like they'll play good for 80 some minutes, but then there are some moments in the game where they lose their concentration, they lose, their marking or something like that, and that one play leads up to a goal, and they end up losing the match, or they get 2 points taken away from them, you know because of that one mistake in just a matter of 1 minute,
Well,
so
and usually it's late, like, Harlow's extraordinary bicycle came, like, in the 92nd minute.
yes.
I mean, it was a stoppage time.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's just mental fatigue, physical fatigue, but you're y'all have to understand that both teams are going to be in the same situation, so it's
Yeah.
not going to be an excuse.
Yeah.
As you got to maintain your focus 100%. And I think that's when one of the biggest challenges for RGV this season. So that could be something where uh, Colorado Springs might want to take advantage of if for some reason you get to 90-minute stoppage at 0-0 or 1-1 draw. I want to say, Annie, that was exactly that happened. Was it the playoff match where it was or the last time we played them over there, where it was like Colorado could not break open RGV for
Mhm.
like 80 some minutes. And then all of a sudden, like in the last couple of minutes, I think you all scored like two in a
Yeah.
span of 5 minutes. And it was
Yeah.
it was just exactly what I've been saying. So
You can't
hope
take your focus off the end. You gotta keep playing to the last whistle blows.
Yeah, definitely. But it looks to be like it's going to be a very good match. So if you guys, obviously for both of our fan bases, it is going to be a a game to look out for. But if there's any non Toro or non Switchback fans that are watching this video, I think it's going to be a good game to watch on Saturday. Like if your team isn't playing or something and you want to pass the time, be sure to tune into to that game on ESPN Plus. But having said all of this, Annie, we do want to kind of go, before we sign off. Um, we do want to do with you our traditional um, predictions and bold predictions, segments. So I'm pretty sure if you've seen a couple of our episodes, so obviously
Yeah.
bold predictions is the most outlandish thing that you can think of that can maybe not even realistically happen in a match, but it's just something. We've actually had it happen, Annie, where we give a bold prediction. It's like so outlandish, like, oh, that'll never happen. And it ends up happening. I'm all like, guys, come on, like, what is going on here? Like, but first we'll start off realistic, but let's give our regular predictions. Annie, since you are a guest tonight, you go ahead and go first.
Well, I'm gonna pick my switchbacks, but I am gonna say a realistic would be 2-1 because I
Mm-hmm.
think Lopez will probably get a goal. So, but I think we've got some great attackers, so I think at least 2 goals from our guys.
I think for me, I'm gonna have to go with a 2-0 loss for RGV. And the reason I say this is because I still don't have 100% confidence in the defense being playing consistently well from one game to the next. I do feel that yes, they played well against Indy. They played well in the previous game before as well. Um, but I think historically this season, it's like I mentioned, it's been constant where they play a couple games well and then they completely like lose their focus the next game completely. And I do think that with the situation where they're with the elevation, with the maybe the lack of fitness that'll probably plague them in the 70th, 80th minute, it's going to leave the door wide open for those mental mistakes to happen, and for these players, these offensive players that Colorado has, to take advantage of it. Let's not forget, Jonas Spielberg has an idea how Wilmer Cabrera plays. So
Mhm.
that could also be a factor in favor of Colorado. So now let's go with our bold predictions.
Well, you do the bold prediction since I went first for the regular.
So I am going to take an advantage that Jacob isn't here, and as a tribute to him, I'm gonna say that it's gonna start snowing in Colorado
Oh,
with,
wow.
with a lot of wind. Not necessarily enough for the game to be postponed or anything like that, but it's gonna snow. It's gonna be really really cold, and somehow, you know, Frank Lopez gets a double, and Tyler Derrick gets a shutout, and I'm gonna go with a 3-0 victory for RGV.
Oh, wow. And I'm gonna do the flip side. I was gonna say 3-0, but for switchbacks, only because I I I honestly think RGV is going to hold us, um, but our guy has been so good in between the posts. So Christian Herrera, I think, is going to get his 10th clean sheet.
But you want to know? There's something I omitted. There's something I omitted that is part of the Jacob lore. You want to know why 3-0?
Why?
Because Colorado is going to get a bunch of red cards.
Oh, well, that could be the bold prediction, is that we have a terrible officiating, and yeah. We do, and we tend to have worse luck with our officiating at home than we do away. So, although San Diego proved that wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it is what it is. We get what we pay for
Yep.
with pro referees, but I mean,
So I'm
what
assuming
can,
you're not coming up for the game.
unfortunately, no. I'm actually going to be going to Houston this weekend to go see the Texas Derby between Houston and Dallas. But I'll be on my phone. I'll have the Toros match watching. I'll probably be paying more attention to the Toros match than the Dynamo match. But I just felt like I really wanted to say hi to some of my friends that I have over there that I haven't seen in a while. So what's the biggest reason why I'm making the trip over there.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say a shout out to all of the Houston fans. Congratulations on the Houston Dynamo winning the Open Cup. That was amazing. I'm a native Houstonian, if you didn't know. And
I did not know that.
yes, I'm a Texan, so my heart is in Texas. U of H.
Go
So
Cougs.
go Cougs. So yeah, I was very proud of Houston. We got Burke there. He's the assistant coach.
Hmm.
So we're really proud of the team for getting the Open Cup. So congratulations to all the Houston fans. I'm really happy for you.
And real quick before we go, do you have any final thoughts about this match? Or just something that you want to like get out of your chest, like even if it's not related to this game, like
Oh,
the
there is
floor is
one.
yours.
Yeah, one thing I did want to say, just for those who don't know, this game is the fundraiser for mental health awareness. It's the funds that are raised from the guys are going to be wearing a special commemorative jersey that is limited edition. The fans can buy them now online, but the ones that are worn during the games are going to be auctioned off the day of the game. All
Hmm.
the proceeds that run are that get accumulated will be donated to Mount Carmel for suicide prevention. So it's an auspicious game. I think it's awesome, and I think anything that the fans can do out there to help raise funds for that effort, please do. Please donate. Please purchase a shirt or even bid on one of the jersey game worn jerseys.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good thing that you mentioned that. That is a really, really good cause. And just if you can send me some of the information of where people can help pitch in for the cause. So that way, we can help promote that for y'all.
I will.
On our
I'll send
social
you the
media.
link. Hmm.
All right, sounds good. But Annie, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate all the feedback that you've given about knowing more about Colorado Springs, and may the best team win. Hopefully, it'll be RGV. But unfortunately, soccer can be such
A cruel master.
yeah, can be such a cruel master, and
Yeah.
not always the best team wins.
And
But
when RGV is not playing Colorado Springs, I'm always rooting for you guys. I was out there right away at the beginning when you guys weren't getting player announcements, begging the club to announce
I
for you
remember
guys.
that. Yes.
So my heart
I,
is my heart is with you.
it's funny because yeah, it was you and Harry, the non-Toros fans that were most vocal about, all right, RGV, like
Everybody else
anything.
has anything.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was terrible. And
Yeah.
it's funny because um you might think that they don't, but the front office, they were like, bro, like, we get it, man. Like they were actually kind of frustrated about the fact that that people were just constantly like barraging, like, where are the signings, where are the signings, where are the signings. But it is what it is. Hope I know this season they kind of learned from that mistake. They did their homework ahead of time rather than
Yep.
pulling an Edson in college where like left all the studying and the homework till the last minute. you know uh but yeah, unfortunately, there's some other problems that RGV has been having lately, in regards to finances. And I just hope they get that under control
I
for
know.
the future. And there was one thing real quick, that I did want to get your thoughts on before we go. Now that you brought it up, with what are your thoughts on the situation with San Diego Loyal, who now all of a sudden announced
Yeah.
they're gone after the season?
Yeah, it's I feel for the fans because they've built such a wonderful community of fans, supporters out there. Those are the ones who really, them and the players and the staff. Um, it really hurts. I do hope that the players all find homes. I do hope that the staff are able to get employed maybe with the MLS club. I hope the fans do support the MLS club because it is their community. So don't hold back from having bitterness about losing your USL team. Get out there and support soccer for America and support the MLS club. It's a wonderful thing to bring your community together, and so you don't want to lose that.
Mhm.
Um, I would die if it happened here. I would just die. So fortunately, we already have our MLS team up north, so we're pretty far apart from a market standpoint, so we don't run that risk here.
Well, Annie, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And hopefully, it's not going to be the last time that you're on down in the valley.
I
But
appreciate it.
where can they find you all if they want to follow you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You know me as Kaz Annie. Just look me up. I'm usually tagged on a lot of your posts, so you'll see me out there. Find us on Trailheads SG out there too, commenting on all of those. Follow Trailheads SG, and that'll be great. I wish all of RGV, their coaching staff and players, and their fans safe travels here and back home. And I do hope that it's a clean, safe match for both teams.
Definitely, I can agree with that sentiment. And if you ever decide to come down to the Rio Grande Valley, let me know.
I am going to do it because I want some good Tex-Mex, man. I'm
well,
missing so much.
well, you're gonna get the authentic Mexican stuff here.
That's right. That's right. My
you
mom's
know,
from Monterey, so I do.
you
I
wait,
know.
wait, what? Really?
Yes, my mom's from
What part?
Monterey.
What part? What part?
No, well, I don't know the locale in Monterey. Oh, I wish I could remember the colonia. I don't remember the colonia, but I still have relatives
But
down there.
is but
I
is
have
it like but was it like in the actual city of Monterrey or like
Yeah.
Guadalupe up? Oh,
No,
really?
no, it was Monterey. Yeah, no, my mom grew up in Monterey. My dad grew up in Texas. He was down there on vacation, met her, they got married, moved to Texas. But I had my grandmother down there, may she rest in
Hmm.
peace. But I still have my aunts down there. I have cousins that are still down there. So yeah, lots of family, big family down there.
Yeah, because my mom is actually from Guadalupe, so and
Oh, okay.
so I'm actually, now that I'm living here in McAllen, I have an easier time to go to and from Monterrey and over here to go visit all my family over there. But
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I didn't know that you had
Yeah.
some
No,
sort of
I have family in Reynosa. I have family in Playa del Carmen, Ciudad de Carmen. So
mhm.
yeah, all over.
That man, that's pretty cool. honestly, but honestly, anyway, Toros fans, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow us at Down in the RGV, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, not Threads, because unfortunately, Mr. Zuckerberg's like, no, one account per device. Like, really, dude? Like, some of us need to have our burner accounts there as well. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a burner account. I don't have a burner account. I've been attacked by a burner account, but I do not personally have a burner account, as you know of. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, follow us throughout all of our social media, and hopefully we will be back next week for an actual live stream. and hopefully we'll be talking about good news about this match. But if there are going to be bad news to talk about, you can be pretty sure that Jacob is going to be very fired up with his rant on Wednesday. But
You
uh,
take care then.
yeah, he's usually the more like like out of the both of us. I used to be like that, but then I was like why am I gonna get myself into controversy? Like it's tiring, to get into all this controversy because of something you said. Believe me, just this season I had something happen that I said on the live stream, and yeah, I regretted it right away. Like it was not a good feeling. Let's just say I talked bad about our ownership. So
Oh,
yeah, so
well, we kept
but
it clean this time.
yes, we did. We kept it on the pitch stuff.
That's
But
right.
thank you so much. We will see each other next week on another episode of the Down to the Valley podcast. Have
Take
a good
care.
one.